And for all of you guys that are on, we're doing this in webinar mode, so you can hopefully see and hear us, but you guys are all off camera and muted. So if there's questions that come up throughout it, just go ahead and put any questions in the Q&A box down at the bottom or the chat down at the bottom. I will be monitoring those, and then at the end, we will facilitate those questions to Stephanie.
We expect the questions with Stephanie to be about 20-25 minutes, and then we'll have open questions after that. So probably 40-45 minutes total. So just you can plan accordingly and plan your evening.
And we are recording this, so it will go up on our YouTube channel in the next day or so, so you guys can share it with friends, agents, contractors, clients, anyone that you need to, so it will be recorded. So I think we've got the bulk of people in right now, so I think we can, Ben, if you want to go ahead, kick it off. Again, welcome everybody that's here. And like I said, it's going to be recorded. If you have any questions during, pop them in the chat or the Q&A box, and we'll filter those to Stephanie towards the end.
So welcome everybody on behalf of Shannon and myself, Team Beesley. This is our 4th webinar that we've done. We've done out-of-state investing. We've also done out-of-state investing focus on Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We had a special guest there. Just about a month ago, we had our tax assessor, Steve Bagnini, talk about Prop 19 and its impacts on all of us. And we thought this would be a fantastic next opportunity for us to learn a little bit more about what makes our community so great. And it's finding a little bit more about the Monterey Peninsula Water Management District through the eyes and the ears of Stephanie Locke, who's been with the district, I found out tonight, 33 years. Districts have been around for 43. She's been here almost for the entire lifetime. She's involved in all facets of the water demand management and water policy of the Monterey Peninsula, overseeing water efficiency, permitting, and public outreach programs. During her career, she's authored and implemented numerous ordinances and policies that apply to the Monterey Peninsula and a portion of unincorporated Monterey County. As a result of the water efficiency programs, she has developed and implemented, the Monterey Peninsula has successfully reduced demand by over 44% since 1997. That's huge.
It's huge.
She's also been an instrumental figure in developing new regulations to the benefit of Peninsula residents and businesses owners, adding much needed flexibility and opportunity for development of properties during drought and moratorium. Stephanie also serves on the Carmel by the Sea Planning Commission. She's joining from us, unfortunately for her, but fortunately for us, in Tempe, where her son had to go through a little water disaster issue. They had a flood in his apartment. She's helping him out. He's a proud member of the Keller Williams family, which is kind of cool. So Stephanie, on behalf of all of us, welcome.
Thank you.
We're thrilled you're here. So we have a couple of questions that we sent you ahead of time. So just let's begin with just kind of an overview of what is the Monterey Peninsula Water Management District.
And do you want me to do this, Ben? I cover all this for you?
Okay.
Well, as the slide, so sorry, sorry about that. My computer just fell apart. So augmenting the water supply is one of the primary functions of the Water Management District, and also promoting water conservation and efficiency. We promote water reuse and reclamation of stormwater and wastewater. And some of the things that I can point to that we have done include financing with the Pebble Beach Community Services District Carmel Area Wastewater District Reclamation Project, which irrigates all of the golf courses in Pebble Beach and open spaces with recycled water so that they don't have to use the California American Water System. And from here on, I'll just say CalAM instead of California American Water. We back up a step when my computer fell over, sorry. Augmenting the water supply through the integrated management of ground and surface water. The district is very intimately involved right now with the water projects that are taking place. We have been a partner with Monterey One Water on the Pure Water Monterey project, which is currently functioning and providing water, highly purified recycled water that is injected in the ground in the Seaside groundwater basin and then pumped out later to provide drinking water for us. That's one of our primary new water supplies that will help us to get out of the moratorium that we currently have on new connections in the CalAmp system, as well as to legalize our existing water supply. We also have completed and managed the Aquifer storage and recovery project, which is where we take excess Carmel River water during the wintertime and pump it over the hill and into the ground in Seaside so that it can later be pumped out and it becomes another water supply for us. And so rather than all of that water going out to the ocean, it's actually put into the ground and saved as a water supply. Our water conservation program is probably the thing everybody on this webinar has been most involved with, because any sale of a property requires certain water efficiency retrofits. And then any construction or remodels require meeting a probably expanded list of water efficiency requirements. And I would say we probably have the greatest requirement for the different types of appliances and whatnot in construction of anybody in the United States. I honestly do not think anybody has the same level of efficiency that we have here on the peninsula. Obviously, part of our other duties have to do with, we maintain the Carmel River watershed. We have people out in the field that help to clear the riverbanks from fallen trees or things that are blocking the river channels, or even putting, certain times they'll put large trees into the river channel to help foster the environment for the Carmel River steelhead. And we also have a fisheries group that will help go out, in fact, they're out right now, scooping up the poor steelhead that are getting stranded as the summer goes on and the river starts to dry up from the lagoon, and it starts making pools that the steelhead get caught in. And we have people that go out and actually scoop them out of the river and then take them either upriver to another higher pool where the water's still flowing, or in some cases take them to our Sleepy Hollow steelhead rearing facility, which is way out in Carmel Valley, where they will be raised through the summertime and then let out later. And some of those actually are large fish that are released where they can swim out to the sea fairly quickly. Obviously, our goals are to increase our water supply and meet our community and environmental needs. And we do partner, specifically our conservation program partners with CalAmp for our efficiency requirements. You'll see a lot of our outreach has both our CalAmp and district logos on it. And then again, we also have a number of people that are checking things like making sure we don't have seawater intrusion, which the Monterey Peninsula does not have a problem with seawater intrusion. A little bit further north in Marina, there has been some issues, but on the Monterey Peninsula, we don't have a problem. And part of that is probably because of our management of the resources. And we manage and allocate water, and that comes down to how we do our permit program and how we look at demand and have this kind of net zero, net blue process for water permits. And I know that's going to be part of this discussion today, so I'll stop at that.
Perfect. So I think we can go on to that next slide where we've got some question and answers. I see a couple other people have joined since we first said hi to everyone. So if you guys have other questions once we get through these 6, feel free to put them in the question and answer box or the chat, and we'll field those to Stephanie. We've got 6 questions here for her that we'll go through, but again, feel free if you've got specific questions to pop them in there. So Stephanie, you just kind of talked about the water management district and what you guys do. Can you talk a little bit about the fixture count policy and how does that impact homeowners, sellers, people buying, or contractors that are building or remodeling? So
before I actually answer that question, I want to be sure everybody does know what our website is. It's MPWMD.net. And a lot of the information I'm going to give you tonight is available on our website. There's a lot of information beyond what I'm going to tell you about that you can also get from that, including all the forms you may need, and that kind of thing. So Primarily, fixture count comes in. So every water fixture in a house has what we call a fixture unit value. And the fixture unit value correlates to what we would consider to be the water use capacity, and that's a defined term in our rules and regulations, that essentially is an estimate of the potential demand of water that fixture will use for the year. And we've assigned a fixture unit count to each water fixture. Primarily this would only come into play when you're looking at some kind of a remodel or addition, or if you're building a brand new house. So when you're selling a house, really the fixture unit count doesn't get involved. It's more that we do have these water efficiency requirements for change of title, where a property before it sells right now has to have 1.28 gallon or high efficiency toilets installed. It has to meet certain flow requirements for faucet aerators and shower heads. You have to have a rain sensor installed, and those are the requirements. But once you get into trying to do a remodel, you have to know how many fixture units you have in your house, what you can potentially get for credit. So when you get a credit, the credit is based on going further than what our requirements are for the most part. For example, putting in a high efficiency dishwasher is a slightly lower fixture unit count. So that results in a credit that helps to allow additional fixtures to be added. And I'm not sure if you want me to go further with this, or just should we go through this and then I can answer the questions when they come up. But
I think that, yeah, let's do it that way, because I think some of these questions will circle back into
exactly, yeah,
into some of them. Ben, you want to take this one?
So it's kind of expanding on what you just started alluding to. So obviously, most of us that have bought homes or sold homes, you know, it's ensuring that our toilets meet the districts. The aerators are easier, but the toilets we have to, you know, make that right. So what are our responsibilities as homeowners or sellers or purchasers? And then with regards to the district, for example, if we have a 1.6 gallon per flush toilet and convert it to 1.28 gallon per flush toilet, can we use that credit? How do we use that credit elsewhere in the house? How does it work with the district? Just kind of walk us through that.
Yeah, and I kind of started doing that on the last question. So basically, if you're just selling a house, the whole concept of credits and fixture units really doesn't matter. All you're doing is meeting our requirements. However, those credits are available. So for example, the 1.6 gallon, or if you had a 3.5 gallon toilet, say the property hasn't sold in 40 years. So it has an old toilet in it, and because of a sale, you have to install a high efficiency toilet. At such time as you want to actually add water fixtures to your home, then you would be getting a credit for having reduced from the higher flow toilet to a lower flow toilet. And you could actually even go lower than what our requirement is and go to the 0.8 gallon toilet. And that'll get you an additional half a unit of credit. So on our website, and again, this is where I'm going to say that our rules and regulations are probably primarily the place to look for information. There are fact sheets on the website, but if you really want the real dirt, look at the rules and regs. And there's a table in Rule 25.5, Table 4, which lists the high efficiency appliance credits. And so it literally goes down the list of the credit you can get from going to a 1.28 gallon toilet, to a 0.8 gallon toilet, installing a high efficiency dishwasher, installing a ultra high efficiency clothes washer, putting in instant access hot water. And for apartments, primarily, we are now giving a credit or reduced fixture count for installing a gray water system to flush the toilet.
Cool. There's actually a question regarding that. We'll get back to a little bit later. Shannon?
Yeah. So if I have a house that currently only has one bathroom, can I add a second bathroom as an addition without worrying about fixture counts?
Of course.
Okay, good. So if you all heard that, of course, if you only have one, you can add a second. what if I already have 2 bathrooms and I want to add the 3rd? What's
Okay.
that?
So, and I'll say, of course, on the 1 bath to 2 baths, as long as the house was built, I think it was before, there's a year, 1998 maybe. So in our Rule 24, it specifies a year that the house had to have been constructed with 1 bathroom. And as long as there are less than 4 units on the site, 4 dwelling units on the site, you can add a 2nd bathroom to 1 or all of those dwelling units without requiring additional water from the jurisdiction. So you pay the fees for the fixtures, but when we have a situation like right now where we have not only the moratorium, but we also don't have water available from each of our jurisdictions because they've used all the water they had, you can add a 2nd bathroom without requiring water. And so that is actually, that rule was changed a year ago. Previously, it was only for single-family residences on single-family residential sites. Now we will allow up, so you could have a triplex and add 2nd bathrooms to each of those units as long as they existed prior to that date. So then if you have 2 bathrooms and you want a 3rd, as long as you haven't used the 2nd bathroom protocol, then you can get credit from these items that are on this table 4 in Rule 25.5. So you can get credit for all those different things that help to reduce what your total fixture count is for the house. And as long as you don't exceed the existing count, you would be able to add additional fixtures. To add a full bathroom, you might have, and if you only have 2 bathrooms, I don't think you can actually get enough credit to add a full 3rd bathroom. But if you're lucky enough that you have a utility sink you want to get rid of, or you're willing to get rid of, those kinds of things also help to reduce the count so you balance out.
Or a bar sink or
Yes, exactly.
fixtures like
Well,
that.
just roughly, what is a bathroom? How many fixture counts do you need for a bathroom?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask me this question. Let me see.
And that's a surprise question. I apologize for that.
Yeah, it's all right. Let's see. I know I just saw my little sheet. I think it's 3 point. Oh boy. Ben, ask me that question in a minute.
We can come back to it. We'll go on to this next one. Ben, you're on number 4.
Yep. So what other unique ways can we, because obviously we all want to save water while at the same time maintaining our fixture counts. For example, converting a shower over tub to a shower. Like how can we save water that makes sense for everybody, but also increase our fixture counts or do something that makes sense?
Well, so interestingly, there's anything you do results, assuming you put in a high efficiency toilet or an ultra high efficiency toilet or ultra high efficiency clothes washer, all of those things do reduce your fixture count. Obviously, they reduce the amount of water that's used in your home and reduce your water bill, which in our area, we all know the rates are extremely high and they're only going to keep going higher. And so it only makes sense to do these things. When you do a conversion like that, other than the clothes washer, we'll give you credit going forward for 10 years from the time that retrofit took place. When I said about clothes washers, so you can have a tenant or you can have just put in a high efficiency clothes washer. Since it's not an appurtenant fixture to your home, unless you actually come to us for a water permit and we use the credit, at which point we will deed restrict your home and say that it has to remain there, or a similar use model has to remain there in perpetuity. You can have that high efficiency washer and you can get a rebate for it until you're actually ready to use it for some type of an addition that needs additional water.
And then it's interesting because I just found this out. So converting a shower over tub to a shower also gets you a fixture.
Well, no, that actually would not. So a bathtub, no, a bathtub, a standard bathtub and a shower are the same fixture unit value.
Okay.
So
right.
Yeah, right now they are the same fixture unit value. I mean, and I don't want to say this, but you could probably take a 20-minute shower and that would be the same as what filling a bathtub would be. But
okay.
It's and it depends on the size of the bathtub too. Some tubs are much smaller, and it would you can take a shower and fill a bathtub.
Got it. Okay, that's I got misinformation, so I'm glad you clarified that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we basically cover. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Stephanie.
Well, I was going to say, if you take out a large bathtub, And it's, you know, and we haven't, so we have, if you've gotten a permit from us and we've given a permit for the master bathroom, if you have a large bathtub and you take it out, that wouldn't result in a very big credit. I think that would maybe get you 1 fixture unit. If you had a large bathtub that has never been used, you're just taking it out, potentially you can get 3 units for that.
So if you remove the full tub.
Yeah, the big tubs are the big users, obviously.
The big jacuzzi. Okay. So I think, again, we kind of covered this, but sharing with us how a high efficiency dishwasher or clothes washer might impact fixture counts. So
and again, yeah, and the only thing I can say about that, again, with the clothes washer, I encourage everybody to take advantage of our rebate. We have this incredible rebate on the Monterey Peninsula, and the clothes washer really is the biggest water user in your house. So while we go through this dry year, if you have an old dishwasher or old clothes washer, now is really the time to upgrade and find out what a really good new clothes washer does for you.
Shannon, are you up?
Sure, I can take this one. So the Monterey Peninsula obviously has our water availability issues. What can you share with us besides kind of what we've talked about on these different fixtures that'll encourage us to change behavior? And is there good news so we don't have to worry as much about water? And I know we're in a very dry year, but is there any positivity out there?
Well, I think there's always positivity out there. Right now we are considering this year to be a dry year. So the rest of the state is experiencing this extreme drought. I know that, you know, you see some of the drought maps and it shows that we're also in extreme drought. But we do have all local water supplies. So that makes us so much better off than the people who are having to deal with Shasta or Oroville or some of those other reservoirs that are pitifully low right now. So right now we're kind of waiting to see what next winter brings before we really jump any, you know, start pulling any strings to really reduce use. You may see this summer that we might move to stage 2 of our conservation and rationing plan. And again, I'll tell you the rules and regulations, it's regulation 15, and it gives you the different stages of our plan. But stage 2 is just a call for action in the community, a call that says, it's a dry year, can you do everything you can to reduce water use? And obviously at this point, the big water using things are irrigation. And, you know, and I'm still seeing irrigation that runs off properties. I'm seeing irrigating on the wrong days. Right now, we were only supposed to irrigate Wednesdays and Saturdays between I think it's before 8 and then after 5, and not to have it running off. Obviously you can hand water your plants if you need to do that, but ideally there's no runoff. And so that's probably the biggest thing we're asking this summer, is for people to start being aware of the water use. And then the other thing that's coming up too is that, you know, on January 1st of 2021, CalAM will have to move down to its legal limit on pumping from the Carmel River. And so at that point, we're actually going to be at a place, probably we're going to be just barely able to continue without triggering the cease and desist order. And so obviously anything people do to save water, that's something I'd highly encourage. But the good news on the horizon is that, you know, there are discussions right now about the expansion of Pure Water Monterey. And so when Pure Water Monterey goes forward, at that point, that would provide us with a new supply that we will need to be able to hopefully lift the cease and desist order, get rid of the moratorium, and be able to provide some water.
Excellent. So there's a couple questions then that have come in. And do you want to take this first one from Philip?
Sure. Yeah, Philip Moon. We have projects in the Bay Area where we are soon to install a European contained system that takes gray water and purifies it to the near potable quality, and we will use it piped to toilets and irrigation. What would that, how would that, or what would that apply to the other fixtures or uses within our district?
Well, actually, so that's where I said table 4 of rule 25.5 does now list, and it has for, I think, the last 2 years, the ability to get a reduced fixture count for the toilets when you have a gray water system installed. And you have to meet, there's a certain requirement that the system has to be able to provide X amount of the total annual water needs. And if it does, then we'll give you a reduced fixture count. So yeah, I mean, we encourage that type of use. In the past, it's been a problem because, we had to get Monterey County Health Bureau's approval for something like that. And at this point, I think we do have that. And so it is moving forward. And there are some apartments that are planned for Monterey that are planning to use these systems.
Awesome. Huge.
And then Peter asked, could the Salinas River supply to the Carmel area and solve much of our water shortage? Where is the majority of our water coming from now?
So our water right now comes from 2 locations. It is either from, it's 2 locations, Seaside Groundwater Basin and the Carmel Valley Alluvial Aquifer. And the Seaside Groundwater Basin is a separate basin, and I don't believe it's legal to be transferring from one basin to another. So I don't think that that is a possibility. However, what we do have is the Pure Water Monterey project, which takes excess water flows in certain areas of the Salinas area, Salinas Basin, but it's not necessarily the Salinas River, and purifies it and then provides that back to the peninsula where it's injected in the ground and then later removed for drinking water.
So one of my questions, a follow-up question is, I didn't do really well in algebra, and I think doing the fixture counts and trying to figure out how this one works to this. And if I wanted help, or where would I go to see what can I do and what are my opportunities for remodel or whatever using this system?
Great question. So on our website, we have, let's just walk right to it right here. On our website, we have under regulations, under the heading regulations, it says water permits. And then prominently on that page, there's the electronic water permit application process fact sheet. And that fact sheet will show you where the forms are, what the different water credit, where you can find information about getting water credit, how you can calculate whether or not you have enough credit to do a project. And essentially what you're doing is looking at what your project is, what you have in the home before you do a project, and then what you're going to have in the home after the project. And if it's equal to or less, then you have no issue. If it's greater on the post-project, then you'd have to get water from a jurisdiction's allocation or entitlement. So for example, the Pacific Grove has an entitlement, and they would sell you the water that you would need to do your project. The city of Monterey doesn't have water. And so if you have more water in your post-project, then you would have to actually change the project and reduce use. But in the past, we've been lucky. We've had the Malpaso entitlement that was available a couple of years ago, which has at this point been used up. And then PG has their entitlement. Sand City has an entitlement. The city of Seaside still has water available in its allocations. And so and Pebble Beach Company also has an entitlement. So anything in the Del Monte Forest has the ability to purchase water.
So, and you said Seaside does. You can purchase.
Seaside has water, yes.
Good information.
And they're very busy, and they're doing lots and lots of ADUs right now.
Yes, lots.
Do wells go under your purview if somebody has a well or wants to do a well? Does that involve you?
Yes, it does.
And is that still happening, or can people still get their permits if they want to?
Good question, Ben. I know the Monterey County had a moratorium on the drilling of new wells. I thought that I had heard that it had been lifted, but I'm not 100% sure that's true. Okay. However, there are obviously people who have wells on their properties. And when you have a well, you're subject to permitting process for water distribution systems. And depending on where it is, if it's in the water resource system, so if it's in the Carmel Valley Alluvial Aquifer or the Seaside Groundwater Basin, The water district will actually look at it and set limits on how much water can be produced from that well and how many connections you can have on that well. And if it's not in the water resource system, then we pretty much don't worry too much about it. But I do want to actually, good point. So if it's not in one of our water resource systems, then it's probably drilled in fractured rock. And when you have a well in fractured rock, it's depending on all those little cracks and crevices for the water to slowly make its way down to where the well actually, where it's pumped out from the well. They are not necessarily a reliable source of water, and those wells can go dry. So unfortunately, because CalAM has a moratorium on new connections, and the county doesn't have water available in its allocation, if you have a property and the well goes dry, you're kind of out of luck. We've actually had, I think, 2 properties in the last 6 months that have run into that situation. So it's kind of like, beware, if you're fractured rock, you may or may not have a good source of water.
Are there any questions that we didn't ask that you think we should have?
No, I can tell you that our offices are going to be open back again to the public starting July 6th. We will have some limited hours. I'm hoping we can continue doing a lot of the things we've been doing online. Our electronic permit process has worked very well. So, you know, it really is nice to be able to have these things come in electronically, and then they're easier to handle. I do look forward to seeing people's faces, I have to say, because it's been a long time and it's great to finally actually see people. And our inspections, we are doing inspections if they're needed, but we encourage the realtors to actually use the water efficiency certification process, because that essentially is the certification form that you sign and you check each of the boxes saying this property complies with all these rules, and sending that in, and then we'll send you a certificate that says this property is in compliance. And rather than having somebody have to go out to a site that we really shouldn't have to go out to, that's our preferred method. But that's what I'd say.
Well, we've got all of our contact information up here. Stephanie's is up there. We've also put the link to the Water Management District's website in the chat, so it's in there for you all. So if there's any questions, obviously you can email Stephanie, call the office, but the website is a great resource for so much information. So I encourage you all, if you do have questions, check that out first. And then Ben, if you want to close it out.
Yep. And as I mentioned, this is a series of webinars we've provided. We hope it's of value. I think it is. And so if you want to see this video or some of the others we've done, go to our YouTube channel, and we will be doing more. We're going to be looking at what our next one is.
Thank you, Stephanie. Hugely
Stephanie, we are
helpful.
so appreciative.
Some really good nuggets of information that I definitely didn't know, and so I'm sure a lot of you out there didn't know as well. So
great, thank you for including me.
Thank you.
Absolutely, and good luck to you and your son over in Tempe.
Thank you.
All right, you guys. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.
Bye-bye.